Okay. This is another thing, and that's crazy parents. Some of you are the crazy parents. Some of you are the crazy parents. Some of you are the lazy parents. I found so much. Just because you have money, that doesn't take away the fact that you're lazy. Just because you have money doesn't take away the fact that you need to still parent your children. And you know what the sad thing is? People who there, you'll see people who struggle with like infertility and things like that. You have begged for a child. You begged God for a child. He gave you a child, and you're gonna dump your child off with someone else all day long while you shuck and jive at work. And he was about to leave without asking me any questions as to how his day went. The picture that he was about to paint for himself and probably send to his wife was going to suffice for the day that this child had. And that's what a lot of you parents are doing. You're taking snapshots of how the child's day really was. And at least the least you can do is, if you drop your child off with someone all day, see how their day was. That's your responsibility. See where the teacher needs help. That's your responsibility. But some of you are lazy. Have your child sitting right there next to homeboy with the peanut allergy while he eat a Snickers bar with peanuts. It's very dangerous. And as an employee, you could let these daycares put you in these dangerous situations if you want to. But when stuff starting to hit the fan, just know that legally it's going to hit the fan for you. They're going to cover their behind. They're going to leave you out there stranded. I'm telling you what I know. So you got 3 kids that you don't want to be bothered with, that you're being lazy with, and you have the audacity to get 3 dogs? What's the problem here? What is the problem here? So you want me to care for kids and dogs? Pick a struggle. Children that you don't even want to be bothered with. You thought they would keep a man. You thought the kids were going to help you keep that man, and he didn't. And now you mad. And now you don't want nothing to do with him. Imagine that. Hello, and welcome to another video. So, girl, we got to have a talk this morning. I think you can hear me, but if something starts blowing, it's because I have the fan on me, because it's cold outside, but I turned the heater on. You know how it be, okay? It's cold outside, but the heater's on in here, but I still want a little wind, and I feel like this conversation is going to get a little heated. So, Tansy, what you about to talk about? I don't have any notes for this, so we're literally just going to flow with this conversation, and I love those kind of conversations. However, I do have some very strong points to make, so let me tell you who this video is going to be for. If you are a parent and you have your child in daycare, definitely you need to stay tuned for this video to hear the stories and anything else that we're going to talk about. You need to listen to this because your child is in this setting. If you have a child, if you're a parent and you have a child that goes to school, this could be very helpful for you as well, because I didn't see much of a difference in the environments. Y'all know I used to substitute teach. If you are not a parent, but you are at a job and people doing real shady stuff, and you know they're doing shady stuff, and here you are sticking around, this video is also for you. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. All right, so first I want to start off with, my daughter is here. If I have to pause and do XYZ and ABC, know that I am, a full-time mother. And I think that's kind of where I want to start off before I tell you the first experience. Parenting is hard. Being a mother specifically is hard. It's not an easy task. It's sort of consuming, especially if you have younger children. It's morning time right now. After I'm done this video and I edit up this video, we're going to go on our day taking walks and learn. But my whole day is consumed with being a mother, whether that is being a mother like what Kennedy needs right now, or being a mother as in what she's going to need later on today. Like, that's really how the day goes. It's hard work. And I'm a wife on top of that. So there's still duties that all of those things entail. So like I said, I wanted to say that because I don't want you to think that it's just not, it's a job. And for the husbands out there and for the people out there who don't think staying at home and like tending to the home is a job and tending to the children, it's a job. I'm not going to debate with you. It's a job that you don't get paid for. Imagine that. Imagine you going to your job that you do get paid for. You barely want to be there. Imagine doing a job that you don't get paid for. But there are some great rewards along the way. So anyway, let me point for you the first experience. I was looking to go into daycares. You guys know I used to own my own daycare. I said, hey, what the heck? I don't have to do all the bookwork and all that kind of stuff. Let me just go in. Let me just peep inside a daycare. When you go on and do your own thing, it's still nice to know. It's still nice to know what's going on. It's kind of like you're trying to teach the people that you know nothing about you're trying to teach to a society, you're trying to help with people that you know nothing about. I want to know what's really going on out there outside of my bubble, because I'm not like in the clubs, I'm not in the streets. I barely even watch YouTube like that outside of like, girl, learning how to do stuff like learning to crochet, learning to like things like that. So I'm not watching really the drama of the YouTube streets and otherwise. So I really am disconnected, kind of, sort of, as to what's going on outside of what the Holy Spirit reveals to me. So I said, let me get out there and see just what's going on. Like, what are the people complaining about? What is happening? What's the complaint? You guys know my husband works in the school system. I'm like, I want to know what the complaint is. What changed? What's wrong? What's going on? Can't be that hard, right? Why do people leaving? What's going on? I go to the first daycare, which was a smaller daycare. They called me. I didn't really want to take the job. I said, let me move on to something a little different. So I go on my phone. I find, I didn't do the whole Indeed thing. I just went on my phone and kind of looked at the daycares around the area, and they're always hiring. It's like a teaching position. They're always hiring. They always need people, and there's a reason for that. So I said, okay, let me go on. I'm not going to go to nothing crazy. Let me go to a nice one. So I clicked on a nice one. I called them. I said, hello, I was just wondering if you all were in need of teachers. And the lady was like, absolutely. And I said, okay, that's good. Like, when can I come in and fill out an application and kind of talk to you guys, see what the position's about, like that? And she said, well, we're looking to fill immediately. You can come in today. You can fill out an application and you can talk to, the director, and we can move on from there. I said, okay, cool. I dropped my daughter off with my husband while I go and fill out this information, and I'm excited. Like, I'm like, okay, I spend a lot of time in my house minding my business, and I don't have a problem with that. But every now and then, the Lord really pushes me to get out there. Like I said, you can't necessarily teach to people that you don't know what's going on. So I said, okay, I show up there, fill out the application, all that kind of stuff. I'm greeted very nicely. The place is nice and clean, unlike the other place that I went to before. So I was pleasantly surprised. I saw this daycare up and coming. A lot of them are popping up around the city of Houston. And I said, okay, I've never tried out this one, whatever. I mean, I'm just going to go in and fill it out. I'm going to learn what's going on anyway. Okay, you can't know everything. So I go in, I fill it out. The lady says, okay, well, I'd like you to come back and speak with the director. I go in there, I sit down and talk with the lady who's the lead at the front desk. And you're going to have to listen to this because it's going to be important. You won't believe what I'm going to tell you. I sit down, talk to the lady who's the lead as well as the director. And I, chat with them. The interview was very like, I don't have anything to lie about. So I'm telling you the truth. And the truth sounds really good. The truth, I'm not trying to say I only look good on paper, but the truth looks good on paper. I own my own daycare for a long period of time. That's very attractive to especially a prospective, daycare employer. Okay, obviously. So they say, you know what? We want to get you in here quick. And I don't usually like to move quick, but I'm gonna tell you a few things. So I don't usually like to move quick, but I said, I'm not really doing anything. I'm just chilling at home. It was the Christmas break. So the next week, like, my husband and my son were gonna be at home, and I was like, Kenny and I definitely could get out of the house and do a little something. So they set everything up, and because I'm already in the system for daycares and all that kind of stuff, because I've had my own endeavors, it's very easy to pull my information. So my stuff would come back soon, and the lady knew that. I knew that. We all knew it was a go. My projected start date was on a Monday. So I go to the back. She shows me like a little snippet of the place. I go to the back and I get a chance to see the classrooms. Now, there are certain things that I'm looking for. I'm looking for, the friendliness of the teachers, and I'm looking for the children doing things. Okay, I'm looking for that because that's going to help me when I come into an environment. Am I going to have to build this thing up from scratch? Like, how is this going to be? And I was prepared to do all of the above. So I went and I looked at the place. Now, the classroom that they wanted me in. I wanted to work with the older kids. As you can tell, sometimes I'm a bit, I don't want to call it sarcastic. Sometimes I'm a bit direct. Most times I'm a bit direct, okay? I'm very friendly, especially when it comes to kids. But a lot of kids, especially that age, they need direct. They don't need you to be their friends. They got you as their parents trying to be their friends. So they don't need this whole friendliness all the way around. They need to know direction. They need people to be direct. So I like working with the older groups. I'm not really don't do that, come sit down. I don't like all that. Okay. And some of these kids, you can't even do all that. So the classroom that they wanted me in, it was going to be a bounce back and forth. I was going to be working with the older kids one part of the day, and then the younger kids the other part of the day. And I was like, okay, whatever, it's not that bad. So I go and see the classrooms, and the first classroom I go in, there's 2 ladies sitting in there, and I know what petty is. Okay. So I'm going to an interview. First of all, it's like interview mood. And then once I go inside the room, I notice a shift in the spirit, to kind of an antagonistic approach to going to the classroom. And I'm totally confused as to why this is happening. However, I have enough discernment to know, I'm able to discern enough to know when I need to pay attention to what's going on for whatever reason. So I notice that's going on. I kind of walk out of the classroom. I don't agree to anything that's going on there. I don't play along with the lady being petty who's giving me an interview. I just take note of it. I go to the next room. I see the next room. I get to meet with the other teacher. The teacher she's the most friendly teacher that I've seen so far. A lot of the faces that I saw were just stone cold, like. Now, mind you, the staff was black. The staff at the back were black. The staff in the front was not black. So there's that. I got a lot of stone cold looks, and I know I picked up on it. But when I walked into this particular classroom, this teacher she did not give me a stone cold look. And I was like, okay, well, this is the lady I'm going to be working closer with. At least she's friendly. At least she's a little bit more friendly than the other people. Okay. And that's cool. So I'm talking to her. I noticed that these kids in this classroom are doing absolutely nothing. They crowd around the table doing nothing. And there's no wonder that they have a lot of behavior problems. So they said when they're doing nothing. So we walk out of there, and the lady, basically the lady who's inside the classroom. Now, she doesn't say this while we're inside the classroom. The lady who's inside the classroom, she doesn't really have the skill set that we're looking for. She starts to say things like that. And I'm like, honey, I don't have no time for that. So what I want to tell you this as well, because this is going to help. When I go inside of the classroom, one of the little boys comes up to me, and I asked him his age and what grade he's in. And when he answers me, I don't want to say transported. I am reminded in a way that I could have started crying right there, of a dream that the Lord gave me, of a vision actually that the Lord gave me. And when I tell you, I realized that I don't think that has ever happened so swiftly, that I realized that this that I was standing in was actually that I saw. Okay. And some of y'all might get a lesson on interpreting dreams in here, but just bear with me. Okay. And I am kind of taken aback. So like I said, the lady's saying all that kind of other stuff. We walk out of the classroom. She's saying a little bit more, harsh things, kind of like we were in the other room. And I just take note of it, but I'm still relishing in the fact that, Lord, you really showed me this. And here I am standing in it. So I walk back almost, skipping to the director's office. So I'm sitting in there, that we were talking. They put me on the phone with the regional manager. They're like, she's the one who kind of lets down the final say. And I'm not saying anything bad, but I expected a different person to come on than the woman that I saw. And they did it all via FaceTime. Now, y'all know, I just know, the Lord has been so gracious to me, and he'll just show me little things along the way. So I'm getting that this place is the place that I saw in the vision. I'm excited about that. But when I also sit in this office, I see the beginning of a problem. So I'm sitting there, I'm talking to the regional manager, and I can see the way she's looking at me. I can see the look in her eyes. I can just tell that something isn't quite right with the lady. So I take note of it. I don't give too much of my information. I give her enough, and I just kind of go about my business. And she checks me off and is like, okay, she's good to go. And what she said when she got off the phone was, the FaceTime was, I think I got a good reading. And I was like, okay. You guys have you guys are adding up a lot of checks on my not good side, but the Lord showed me this in a vision and the vision, I'm gonna get to it here in a second. The Lord showed me that this was a place that I was in the vision, so I'm gonna be at the place. So I went out I went out of there, went on home, told my husband we're all excited because, like I said, Tanzania be sitting at home minding her business. So it's exciting for my husband to see his wife kind of getting out there. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice sometimes. So I went home. It was over the weekend. It was a Thursday, actually. They called me Friday morning, literally like 6 o'clock, 6 or 7 o'clock or something like that. And and said, your background check came back. Now, I'm telling you, I have never seen it come back this quick. I haven't even seen it come back this quick when I ran it. Okay, so that is crazy. But it came back quick, and I said, okay. She said, come in. You're going to come in. You're going to fill out your papers. You're going to sign your, what do you call it? You're going to sign your contract. And I'm like, this is such an official place. How nice. Da, da, da. Remember that. Well, you can't remember because I didn't tell you this. That night, I also have another dream. Okay. So since the day I come into here, I'm consistently having dreams. Now, the vision that I had was not, it wasn't like recent. It was like 2 months ago, something like that. No, it wasn't 2 months ago. It was like a month ago. So wasn't that long ago, but then I'm having dreams on top of the thing that I actually saw. Right. So I said, okay, I'm just kind of, mopping through. Drop my daughter off again at my husband's job, go in there, start filling out the papers. Now, I saw the papers, but I also had, they had an early release day, so I had my son with me. And, I didn't drop my daughter off. I took them both with me. I went to pick up my son. That's what I did because they had an early release day. But my husband still had to stay. So I said, okay, I'm going to pick them up. I'm going to leave them in the car. I'm going to go in here, get these papers. I thought it was just like one little paper I needed to sign and then give it back to them real quick. No, it was like a whole packet full of papers. So when I looked at it, I said, hey, I have my kids with me. I have my kids with me. I'm just going to sign it and leave. And she was very adamant that some of those things need to be signed right there before I left. One of them was the contract. Another one was, there was a bunch of papers in there that I had to sign off, like crazy things for payments, like things that I never seen. Like you could be charged $100 for, if the staff trains you, and just some of the wildest things, all surrounding pay on the first paper. Now this definitely, put up my antennas yet again. So I'm paying attention to all these things. However, like I said, I know that this is a place that I'm supposed to be. So just because you know something, that doesn't mean you shy away from it because you see, impending disaster. And I did not do that. So I go forward with it. And I noticed on this day, a lot more kind of, hush, hush. I no longer speak to the director. So she only spoke to me that time to interview me. And I no longer I don't have too much more interaction with her. And I noticed I didn't like this because that's what happened to me when I tried another daycare, before I went to the Army. And I noticed the daycare did the very same thing. She hired me. She didn't tell me the real of the stuff that was going in. And then she kind of withdrew once stuff started hitting the fan, not knowing that I'm not going to be here while stuff hitting the fan and you not say nothing. Okay, I packed up in the middle of the shift and left that position. But let's continue. So the day kind of goes by. I sign out the papers, all that kind of stuff. I signed for a certain wage, and I said, okay, well, I'm going to take the papers and then I'm going to go on, and Monday, I'll see you guys Monday. So I come in on Monday and I'm greeted. Now I notice a lot of people in the office and most of them have bad attitudes. And whenever there's workers who have bad attitudes, we know that there's something more going on. Sometimes you can't pinpoint it very quickly. I am grateful for the grace of God, for the favor of God, for the anointing that reveals, that causes people to reveal themselves pretty swiftly. So I noticed bad attitudes. I quickly found out the source of the bad attitudes, but I noticed that same sort of petty things going on. And the computer went down in the office that they usually did the training in. So, look how good God is. I actually had to sit inside of the office where they were doing a lot of their petty conversations and their petty antics. And I picked up on it all. Even though I was doing my training, I could feel and hear really what was going on. So I said, okay, whatever. I'm excited. I'm excited to get in the classroom. I'm doing my little trainings. I leave that day probably 3 hours ahead of the time that I'm scheduled to leave. And I don't have a problem with it because, like I said, I've been chilling in my house. So I'm used to chilling in my house and doing whatever I want to do, whatever schedule. So, to have to stay out till 6 was a little different for me. So I was glad that I didn't have to do it that day. I picked up my daughter who came with me because I had to pay for her to be there for the week, right? So she was going to come with me every day. I pick up my daughter out of the room and go on by my business. The second day comes around. I spend a little time inside of the office doing the training until the other lady decides to take me on another tour. Now during the tour, it was just like it just happened so instantly. They were like, oh, now we get the lady who I first talked to on the phone was like, oh, now we get to go and escort XYZ out of this place. And she used some very weird terminology, and I was like there was bees, it was just very weird. And I said, I don't know what's going on with that. And I was like, like that. And I kind of moved to the side. I noticed that the director wasn't there this day. The regional manager was there. So I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on. I went to sit back in the office, and I hear all kind of chatter about how they escorted these three ladies. These ladies were Hispanic. Like I said, the rest of the staff was black. How they escorted them off of the premises and even started to scuffle. And when I heard this and heard that this was the lead and the regional manager who was involved in this little thing, I was totally taken back. I couldn't believe what I heard. Well, shortly after that scuffle happened, they didn't pull me, say, hey, can you go in and watch your class? Like, can you go and just kind of like introduce yourself to your class? Now I already know that this is full of baloney, that they just escorted these people out and I don't have anybody to watch the class. Now they want me to come in there and do X, Y, and Z. But I haven't finished any of my training. And what they don't know is I have taken all the trainings. I paid for them through the state for myself. So I actually have all the trainings, but they don't know that. They don't have any of my certification or anything. And they just pulled me back into the room, which I know is illegal. But like I said, I have all my stuff and I had all my stuff on me. They just didn't know that. So I go into the room and it's a bit disastrous. The kids are just all over the place, but they're acting like kids. And I'm just really trying to do my best to make a good use out of my time there. Like I'm trying to just think the best and do the best and just make good use of my time there. And it was pretty bad that first day. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of those things after I get through the story, because right here I feel like this is a story for those of you who are at a job who need to leave a job. Okay, so let's stay right here. I go in there, I work a little while. I work the entire day, as a matter of fact. At the end of that day, they say, the lady says, no, this is the next day. So I come in the next day, the same thing. This time, I only get through like about 20 minutes of my training before I'm pulled and then taken back into the classroom, because they just got rid of 3 people at one time because they decided to be petty or what have you. They put me in the classroom. At this point in time, I'm having a lot of interaction with the teachers who are all very rude. Even the lady who was nicer when I was like interviewing, when I was talking to kids, just got very, very, everybody was just so rude to me. And I didn't even know these people. Okay. My daughter had a bruise on her pec. And I politely told the lady, I said, she has a bruise. I told her teacher and the other lady who was like friends with her teacher. There was a lot of friendliness going on, and I wasn't really in those groups because I had just got there and probably wouldn't be in those groups even if I hadn't just got there. I said, my daughter has a bruise on her pec. Now, Kitty is very docile, like mild mannered, right? There's nothing, if you ask her to do something, she'll do it. She's not like, she won't be like, no, don't, she don't do that. So there's no reason that she should have a bruise on her. And I told the lady, like, I'm next door, I'm treating other people's children with care. So if you have a problem with my daughter, just make sure that you go ahead and send her next door, because I don't want her to be the cause of a problem. This is only her second day in the classroom. There's no reason that she should have a bruise. And the lady looks at me like, she doesn't have anything to say. She just literally look at me like, I can't believe she's talking to me like this. Because a lot of people get the friendly twisted up with, don't play with me. And you dang sure don't play with my daughter. So anyway, that happens. I go into the classroom. That lady turns on me from that point. There's a lot of like rude. There's a lot of rudeness going on, and I mean rudeness like, you know how we get when we get rude. We neck snapping and just ugly, just pure ugly. Like very, when I it was my first day of training, I heard a lady yelling in the hallway. She was like, I know the yell that sounds like you about to cry because you about to fight somebody. And I was very perplexed as to how this was going on in this daycare in this area. And when I say in this area, when you look on the outside of daycare, the homes probably start at, you know, the 300s. The homes start in 300, and I don't mean $300. I mean $300,000. It was a very upscale neighborhood, and I just couldn't believe some of the things that I was hearing in the back. And like I said, the lady was screaming, and she was like, "I'm sick of this high school bull." I don't even think she said bull crap, but you know what I mean, like paint a picture. And the other lady who was in office goes in there and says, you know, it just it's very unnecessary for you to be yelling in the hall. And when I heard that lady's tone of voice, I knew the level of manipulation that I was about to be dealing with, and I was prepared to not be played with, if you know what I mean. So they were painting pictures for me even while I was taking my training. The first day I got all of the information really that I needed. So anyway, I say all that to say things got really crazy. Mind you, I'm only on the first week. Things got crazy really quick. So that third day, I believe it was, I'm placed into the classroom. We get an hour break, so it's cool. The lady calls me on the phone. Now I've been ignoring her all day because she knew before she put me in the classroom how bad things actually were, and nobody said anything. I didn't get any training for them because I knew how to work all of the systems, because I used to use the same systems when I had my own daycare. So I didn't need any of the training. So no one trained me. When she asked me did I need help with the iPad, I was like no, and she was like yes. Okay, so I'm doing all the things. I don't need help doing this. Like I'm seasoned in doing this. I know how to do it. I have very good classroom management, and I didn't need any help. And the lady was really excited about that, but she would come in to try to do little crazy things. Like I told her when she came in one time, like, these kids don't have anything to do. You put me in here. I wish I would have known yesterday. You knew yesterday that you were going to put me in this class. I told the lady this. You knew yesterday you were going to put me in this classroom. You should have put me in this classroom with some materials to do something with these children. But since I know you're going to put me into the classroom sooner than expected, I will bring my own materials for the next day. Later on that day, she brings me some little Christmas trees to do a craft. I didn't do that stuff, because it wasn't cut out, and then it wasn't even age appropriate for the children who were in the classroom. So anyway, I go on about the day, and at the end of the day comes, I believe it's 6, it was like 5, it was almost 6 o'clock. Well, I'm supposed to leave at 6 o'clock. So she calls me at almost 6 o'clock on the classroom phone. Haven't called all day, haven't checked to see if I was good all day. Calls me on the classroom phone and says, "Hi, Tansy, do you think you can close today?" And I said, "Oh, sure." And she said, "Oh, it would just be this one time, but could you just close today?" And I said, "Oh, sure, no problem." And, I'm a sure, no problem. I said, "Well, where's my daughter?" And she said, "Well, she'll be coming in there with you soon," because they were closing out all the other rooms. So my daughter was in there with me. It was fun. I really didn't have a problem with it, okay? Yeah, some of the kids were crazy, but I also got to meet some of the parents whose kids I had been dealing with all day, and I was excited about that, to let them know about themselves. But as I will tell you later, a lot of them didn't even care how their child's day was. So the end of the day comes, and this is the part where I no longer became okay. I walk out, to close out my shift, and I see 3 people sitting in the office. Now, my schedule is at 6 o'clock. Okay. Now, this lady who was in there was the person who used to close, and it was her friend that was in there as well as the assistant director. Now, let me paint a picture for you. The assistant director has 3 children that are all in the room with me. Okay, so you have 3 children. You probably should be the one closing down this classroom if you have 3 children in here. But there were 3 ladies sitting at the front, and I was like, so I'm back here working past my schedule so y'all can sit up there and and kiki. And I noticed that they had they had a morning crew of administrators and things that were very click tight, and then they had a few other ones that were very click tight. And I just noticed that it wasn't good. So after that day, I saw that. I came in the next day, and the lady, it just seemed like the attitudes just went from worse to worse, sir. Okay, and that rubbed me the wrong way. So I told my husband about it. I'm sitting in the car, and I feel a level of stress that really I haven't felt in a long time. I have not been this stressed out. I had not had this amount of stress, girl, in a long time. And I'm like, Lord, you showed me this place in dream. So I'm going to need some more information. I need more information. I need to know, what is it that I'm to do? What should I do? So I go home that night. Of course, the Lord is so gracious and answers me in a dream the next night. Now, I don't want to sit here and tell you the whole dream. I will tell you that the Lord showed me three people and gave me symbolically what these people's role was, what it was that they do, and that's how he gave it to me. Okay, I'm not gonna pay for you to dream because it's none of your business. This is not that. And I said, okay, I woke up and I said, okay, Lord, so I'm prepared. I know how I should go into this battle. I'm prepared for it. So I'm in there. This day is actually a Christmas party, girl. Imagine all these kids who are just behaving all kind of ways, and you now have to do a Christmas party. There's no help from them. And I was running the classroom all by myself. But some of these children did have like very real behavior problems. Like I said, I'll talk to you about those here in a second. But I had a conversation with one lady the night before, and it rubbed me the wrong way. So when I walked in that morning, I said, hey, I would like to speak to the director. Could you please make sure that before she leaves today, because I think it was very rude to hire me, knowing some of the mess, the drama that was going on in the building and not telling me anything about it. I really felt slighted because you know that I'm a professional, by my resume, and simply by the way that I'm running this classroom that I'm a professional. Okay, this is what I do. I know what I'm doing. I would like to have a conversation with you because the conversation that we had and what I'm seeing just isn't lining up. And I wanted to make that known to her. So I said, I want to now I already had in my mind that it could very well be my last day at this point. The thing that they pulled the other night, I was like, it very well could be my last day. Because what you won't do, it was 2 days in a row that I closed. The second day, they didn't ask me at all. So I might have my days a little messed up, but don't mind me. You get the picture here. It was 2 days in a row. The first day she asked me, she said it'll just be this one time. The second day, I guess she was like, well, since she said so friendly and so nicely, we'll just go ahead and just stick her in there. She ain't gonna say nothing. That's what I got. Not kind of, that's what happened. So I was like, I was just all together rubbed the wrong way. When I came in on this last day, which was a Friday, I was like, you know what? I want to talk to the director. And I told the assistant director this. I told her, please make sure that before the director leaves today, she has a conversation with me. Okay. And the other lady was like, well, what's going on? And I shouldn't have said anything, but I did say something. I was like, I told her about the lady that I was having an issue with. Now, this was the lead that also was in an interview when I was hired. I told her, this lady kind of tried to buck up on me because I told her that her son was kicking me and stuff like that all day. And the lady was like, she started shaking her head. Let me tell you, the look on her face and her entire disposition changed into the exact disposition that the lady had that I was talking to. And it didn't scare me. I just realized what I was dealing with. I wasn't simply dealing with people. I was dealing with principalities. I was dealing with more than just the actions of people who were sitting in front of me. When she started shaking her head like that, I said, oh, I was like, okay, thank you, Lord. I see what's going on here. And she said, well, she's just one of those parents you kind of just gonna have to deal with. She's done that to every other teacher. And I looked at her and said, oh, okay. And walked away, went into the classroom. That okay was, she might have done that to a lot of teachers and you guys might have accepted that, but she won't do that with me. You'll be looking for another teacher. So I go into the classroom today and it's very stressful. I mean, there's kids with allergies, but they had a pizza day because the parents bought in like Domino's pizza, I think it was. The lady bought in Domino's pizza for everyone. So the class had pizza, but there were children in there who could not eat pizza, and the cafeteria didn't bring them food. It was just like a disaster. And I'm like, okay, you got crying kids because they're hell hungry because they see everybody's eating pizza and there's no provisions for this. And it just was a mess. So nap time comes around. I call and I'm already getting the wind in my spirit what I'm about to do. I call, I say, hey, when is my break time? And the lady was like, I'll find out when your break time is. In walks the other lady who had a terribly bad attitude, the one who I told about the bruise, my daughter. And I had made a complaint about, so this classroom, what they told me when they hired me was the children in here were potty trained. And even though they might have some accidents, they know how to help themselves out with their accidents. I found that to not be true. During nap time, I would say I had 6 kids peeing on themselves. Imagine having 6 kids peeing on themselves, 2 kids who are pooing on themselves because they're still in diapers and they're not being a changing place or anything like that for you to change these kids. It was a disaster. And when I come and pick up my child from somewhere, or when I ran my daycare, when people can't pick up their children, I want the child to be clean. So it's a very stressful process to me because I want to make sure they're learning, they're clean, that they're presentable when you come and pick them up. They weren't worried about that. I was, okay? So the lady comes in, like I said, I made a complaint about diapers and things like that and wipes. And the lady comes in bringing to me like a stack of diapers and stuff. And I'm like, who is this for? Like, who in here wears diapers? Like, who wears what? And she very with an attitude started doing all that to me. Well, when she starts doing all that, I'm again reminded of a vision that the Lord gave me. And let's say this vision was like 2 months ago. And I will tell you a piece of this vision. In this vision, I was in a daycare. And I remember one of the last parts in it was we were like hiding in a closet. Okay. Because some crazy stuff had popped off in the daycare. Just bizarre stuff like that was happening there. Like directors fighting and all that kind of stuff. It was bizarre stuff like that happening in the dream before I even got to this place. Okay. So I'm realizing that yes, the Lord showed me that this place was this, but I didn't take into account all the other pieces that he had also showed me were going here. So one of the very last things was we end up like hiding in a closet. And I remember I was like at a little desk and the lady brought to me some diapers in the dream, brought to me some diapers and like a stack of pull-ups and stuff. It had no names on it. And I was asking her like, I don't know who this stuff belongs to. Now, remember the night before I'm reading all of my old dream notes because the Lord has showed me that this place is this. And he's told me about this place. And I need to look back on what it is that he showed me about the place. So I see the lady coming there with the diapers and things. Girl, I'm right back in the dream. And I'm thinking to myself, when she leaves out, Tanzania, if you don't get yourself out of here, you are actually going to end up in the closet because they're doing some stuff in here that's very foul, as you saw in the dream, even that night. Okay. You saw what they're doing and you're going to be a part of it if you don't get yourself out of here. There's witchcraft going on. Of course, the lady who was the regional director, girl, she thinks she's some like sidekick or something like that. So there's a lot of stuff going on and you're going to be a part of it all if you don't get out of here. So like I said, I called the lady and I'm like, hey, when's my break? Nobody tells me when my break is. The lady comes in there for my break and I'm smiling. Okay. I'm smiling because I'm about to get out of here. I gather my bag. I don't say nothing to no one. The director has never reached out to me. Nobody came in and said like, oh, she's going to talk. Nobody said anything. So I get my bag. I have the biggest smile on my face. I make sure that all the diapers are clean, all the kids are clean, and everybody's laying down for a nap. Okay, everything's good. Room's clean. Everything is good. Get my little bag. Go in my daughter's room. Don't say nothing. The assistant director is in there watching over the classroom that my daughter's in. I say, Kennedy gets up. I put her mat stuff away. I don't say anything. The director doesn't say anything to me. I say, have a good day. And, no, I didn't say have a good day. She said have a good lunch is what she said. And I was like, okay. I took her. Now in their mind, I could have just been taking my daughter home. It was very close to Christmas. They don't know. They didn't ask. And I didn't tell because it was totally unnecessary. So I walk on out of the thing. I see the director as I walk out. The director doesn't even pay me a second glance. Okay. I walk out of the place, get into the car, and just sort of woosah, like, Lord Jesus, I made it. Much like in my dream, I escaped literally with my daughter, like by the skin of our teeth. So I get into the car, I'm driving down the road, and I get 3 calls. Now, mind you, the break is an hour. I'm not even near the hour in the break, and I'm getting calls. So you know exactly what I asked, and that was to talk to you, and nobody wanted to talk. But when they got the wind of, we could lose a worker, now they want to talk. So I finally answered the phone. Well, at first I talked to my husband, and then I was like, I'm going to go ahead and answer them back because a part of my problem was just ignoring problems that exist. No, I'm going to tell you the problem that exists, which is why I wanted to have a conversation with her. Either way, that was going to be my last day. But because they didn't want to have a conversation, they made my lunch break my last hour even. Okay. So I'm in the car with her and she's like, oh, I just wanted to have a conversation. I just wanted to talk to you, let you know that I did get your message that I was going to, reach out to you. And the lady, and I said, well, whenever you get a chance, you can call me back or you can send me an email because I won't be coming back there. And she says, oh, well, can I ask why? And I said, well, you have a lot of bullying going on. And I'm pretty sure you guys know about it, but a lot of bullying and a lot of just things that are blowing my mind. Like, I didn't even think that these type of things could go on in daycares. And she said she doesn't acknowledge any of what I just said. And she says, oh, well, you are aware that you signed, what do you call it? a garnishment. You are aware that you signed a wage garnishment, right? And I said, oh, that's a wage garnishment. Like, what do you mean? She's like, for the child care and things like that. I said, oh, the child care, that's expected. That's expected. Like, my daughter came there the full week. I expect you guys to take child care. But if you go ahead and just let me know how much you plan on deducting, so that I can know what to expect, that'll be fine with me. And she said, okay. Never heard from her again. So the week passes, and I'm checking on a little ADP app the whole time. I'm making sure, because I know how these companies work. One time I told you guys I got into a little, like, the payroll company. It wasn't even a payroll company. It was the lady who owned this massage place. She, like, took the paycheck, and I ended up calling the payroll company. They sent me the direct deposit anyway, and she was mad that I actually found out how to get around the system that she used to kind of, like, disrupt people's money and stuff like that. Try to intimidate people by having them come up there, which was crazy because, like I said, then you could find the wrong person to be doing that stuff to, and you could find yourself jacked up. I'm not the person, but you could find the wrong person. Anyway, so the whole week passed by. I'm checking the ADP thing the whole time. My exact pay there, my exact hours there. The morning. Now, my bank pays early. My bank allows me to get the things on, like, Wednesday. So, like, if the payday was on Friday, I would probably get it on Wednesday. If the payday was on Wednesday, I would get it on Monday. That's just how our bank works. So I look at the thing, and I noticed that my direct deposit is disabled. My pay is slashed in half, and I no longer can view my hours. Okay. I will tell you right now, sitting here, almost, like, I feel like 2 weeks later, I still don't have a paycheck. I still haven't got a wind of a paycheck, but I went ahead and reported their behinds. Okay. I'm not going to go back and forth with people. I reported them because it's simply stealing wages and places like that. And I'm telling you, the only reason that I reported them is because, again, the Lord showed me in a dream a whole scenario and told me what I should do. So from that, I was just going to leave it alone. Like, if you want to play around with people's money, I'll let the Lord deal with you according to however he wants to deal with you. Because the lady who handled the payroll, she didn't have any money. You know why she didn't have no money? She didn't have any money because she was playing around with people's money. And that's not how you get a hand up in life, just being shady. But a lot of people don't know that. Okay. And my money will be the wrong money for you to play with, because I mean, I give my money to the poor. I give my money to people who are in need. I give my money to causes that the Lord tells me to give to. Like, I do things for free. My money, the Lord's money that comes through my hands, will be the last money that you will want to play with. So I reported their behinds. And I won't go into all the details of those reports because those things are still pending. But I wanted to tell this to you, okay? If you get a wind, you heard all of that information, girl. If you get a wind of some stuff going on, the last thing you need to do is participate in it, because you will be on the receiving end of whatever judgment the Lord decides to let. You don't know who's coming in the door, okay? You don't know who it is that you're entertaining. You don't know. You do not know. And the last thing you want to do, people who are not children of God, the last thing I want you to be doing in this season is messing with his children. The last thing I want you to be doing is messing with anybody, but really those who profess to be his children, because you don't know what he's told them to do. Okay. And here you are messing around with their money. And that was Christmas time. Could you imagine? Now, we did not do any celebration of Christmas, but could you imagine somebody messing with money like that during the holiday season? Just totally jacked up. But I learned a lot of things, and that was, they never had good intentions for me coming in there. They knew that they'd be able to, the lady, at least at the front, knew that she would be able to get me in there quickly and remove these people who she didn't like. Okay, via fights and all kind of other stuff. She wanted to go in there acting like a fool. Now, the director and the other people, I think the director specifically knew what was going on, but more or less was like a pawn in the scheme. But that's a problem too, to sit around and act like you don't know what's going on. It's a big problem. So let's talk about some of the parents, because some of you are the parents. I saw a lot of things in there. I saw children who simply just did not fit into the environment. And you know what? Let me pause right here. I'm gonna come back to y'all because I gotta go with my daughter. Good morning. It's the next day. So the video was getting kind of long, and I had to go on with my day with Kennedy. I didn't want her waiting any longer. So, and we actually ran into friends and things like that. So it was a good time. Back to the story at hand. I basically wrapped up the story. I want to go through a few things that I feel like it's going to help you, like I said at the beginning of this video, as a mother, possibly as someone who be in environment, some things that you could look for. I just want to talk to you a bit. So the first thing was they had me sign all these papers, signing away wages and things like that. I know in the moment, especially when you're like excited to have a position, maybe you actually really want to work there. You don't pay attention to all these things. I'm not saying don't sign things. I would, however, take pictures of the things that you are signing, and some things really you just don't need to sign. Like I can remember one of the things that I signed said I would be charged, like I told you guys, I think I told you guys, $100 if I was trained by the staff. Well, the staff didn't train me in doing anything. So because I remember that, and like I said, if you take a picture of it, you'll remember these things. You can combat some of the things that they very well may try and do. So just keep your own records. When I bought that whole packet home, making copies of all of the stuff that you signed are things that I would definitely implement, especially when you're dealing with shady people. And let me be honest, not everybody knows how to point out the shadiness before it happens, before you're already swept away in their shady schemes. I'm just trying to help you out. The next thing was signing non-competes and things that say like you can't talk about certain things. So usually companies will do this. This is one of the things that shows you that there are shady practices going around. If you're not doing anything wrong, why can't I speak out about it? If you're not doing anything wrong, why can't I say your name? So getting fines and things like that for speaking out about certain companies. I personally would never just go on the company's website just writing any old thing. I know that people do things like that, but I would be very careful signing things like that. And like I said, if you're going to go ahead and sign it anyway, just make sure you're taking a picture and you're keeping your own copies of these things that you are signing so that you don't get yourself in any legal trouble. The next thing is asking hard questions. As you can see from some of the things I told you, I wasn't always this person. I wasn't always the person that was very direct and blunt, so to speak, as it relates to like, so what's going on in here? Those are the kind of questions that I asked in the interview. So I know you gave me all the flowers and you love this establishment, all the great possibilities, but what's the reason why you don't have any teachers? I started asking questions like that. So in that instance, it puts the ball back in their court to either tell me the truth or not. Okay. And they did not tell me the truth. So that was one of the reasons that I was like, let me have a conversation with the director who hired me, because she's the one who lied to my face. But if you never mention these things in the beginning, well, what is there really to converse about? Okay. Because you already know that you're going to find out stuff that you don't know. But if you ask a question, like if you make a general request to know the information, why is it that you're getting rid of people? Why is it that people don't want to stay? An honest boss, someone who is an honest person that I wouldn't mind working for, would be honest in telling me. Okay. And they blamed a lot of things on the parents, and really it's a very broad spectrum, but we're going to move on. The next thing is attitudes of the staff. So what I did notice, like I said, off the bat, was just the attitudes from the people in the front were totally different from the teachers who actually were dealing with the children. And that could be for a multitude of reasons. And this is definitely something that you as a parent want to look out for. If you're leaving children in a daycare setting, there's a reason why people are unhappy. Okay. If they paint a good face for you while you're there, which these faces, I saw the faces, honey, and at no point in time were they painted any different way. And it's hard to believe that people will actually drop their children off in environments where they see that people are clearly unhappy, and then they're surprised that things happen to their children. They're surprised that their children are being mistreated. It's not surprising. The people are unhappy, whether it be for their pay or otherwise. But I will say it's not pay, because most of the people know how much they're going to get paid. Like, they realize how much you're going to get paid. They don't realize under what requirements is this to pay for. Like, under what conditions, working conditions, am I working and getting paid this amount? And there's where the problem rises. But unhappy staff is something definitely that you should look at. And, people folding their arms and just don't want somebody with qualified skills that's going to be able to hold them accountable to the things that they aren't doing. These are things to look out for. Okay, these things to look out for. The next thing is pray. You heard me. The Lord was giving me dreams, and he showed me these things long before I even came to the place. But there's still, prayer is my communication, with God. But prayer is my community. Prayer is the how to. It's the how I know what your plans are, not what I want. Okay, what your plans are for me. It's the way that I align myself with your plans. All right? Okay. Um what are the kids doing while you tour? Like I said, this is for parents and for prospective employees. What are the kids doing? Are these kids sitting down doing absolutely nothing? That matters, because children who have nothing to do are rambunctious. You can think of maybe at your house with your kids, you don't really do nothing with your kids, and maybe you just have one or two kids, right? Maybe you have 3 kids, whatever. You have a small amount of kids. But imagine sitting around with 15 kids doing absolutely nothing. Where you're going, there's bound to be some behavior issues. There are bound to be children in those situations who don't want to sit down or simply can't. Sometimes kids just can't sit still. Some kids just can't sit still. My daughter's like that. It's just like the hop around. Okay, while she's writing her name and stuff like that, she's one of those kids who'll be fidgeting around her seat. There's nothing wrong with it, but sometimes the environment doesn't call for your child to be their self. And as you as a parent, you have to really think about that. And you as the worker, you have to really think about the fact that there's going to be 15 kids in here. What does the school have planned for these kids to do? Am I required to bring it all in here? If I'm required to bring it all in here, well, we're going to have to talk about raising my pay, because I was going to do that. I was going to bring all of my stuff. I have like school stuff and just preschool stuff that I do with Kennedy. I was going to bring those things to my classroom. By the grace of God, I did not carry all that stuff in there, because it was like a weird week. Like this school in particular, they took the entire week of Christmas, like they closed. So I got a chance to watch them for a week. And then the next week of Christmas, I was going to bring everything in. Well, all this stuff transpired before I could bring all my stuff in there. And if that's something that you're open to doing, bring your stuff. But that's a conversation that needs to be had up front, because you're going to have to adjust my pay based on these things that you want me to bring in here. Like, I'm doing more work. You're not doing any of the work. Yeah, you're getting all the money. These parents were being charged a premium. Okay. And when I say a premium, think of $300+ for a 2-year-old. That's a premium. To pay those rates, what you have to think about, what's wrong with a parent's mind that you're paying that rate and you expect nothing? Are you completely delusional? Something's wrong. But people do it. They think that just because they live in a certain environment and this is a certain area, they have this illusion of they're so exclusive and their kids get the best, and it's not true. It's not true. The next thing is, how does the staff treat each other? How does the front staff, how does the management treat the staff in the back? And how does the staff treat each other? I noticed that when I was on the tour, as I walked into the class, the teachers barely said hello. It was the weirdest thing ever. Like I said, I know they were under very stressful conditions, but those things are important because it paints for you a picture of how this is going to go for you. When I ask simple questions like, well, what classroom does this child usually go in? Does this child wear diapers? What does his mom say about this and things like that? I was met with very harsh responses. It's important to be able, I'm not saying you gotta like everybody and be all in a circle talking about, oh, we love each other and going out to eat. I'm not saying that, but a working relationship and just being respectful in general to have that respect between employees. It's important. Okay. It's important. Let me move to the next thing. The classroom. So let me talk about the classroom here. And this is really going to be, hold on. Before we move to that, I have one more thing. Because this, I know a lot of people don't want to talk about, but you're here on my channel right now and we talk about this kind of stuff here. Sometimes there are simply just witchcraft practices going on in the workplace, and you think these kind of things only exist in Disney movies and so forth. So you don't realize that there are very real things that people are doing to you. And because you're not grounded and rooted in anything, you think anything goes. You're one of these positive energy people. You don't believe in Jesus Christ. You don't really have the backing of Jesus Christ. And that's your prerogative. That's what you want to do. That's whatever. But when the Lord shows me that something is going on in here, it is my duty to pay attention. Okay. And I will tell you that the people who were ushered out there, they were ushered out there by means that were physical and practices that the people were doing that were very spiritual practices. Now, I didn't go in there broadcasting all my business, talking about the Lord showed me a dream about this place. So the people don't know that I'm fully aware of some of the things that they're doing, and I'm next on the chopping block. So they would do things like, even in my classroom, I began to notice things. As soon as the bad attitude started, I began to notice that they were doing things in the classroom that correlate with spiritual practices. I'm gonna say that because there's not a video all about this, but I do want to mention this. I also want to say that people are very bold. I mentioned this to you guys the other day, but if someone just blatantly comes out and tells you, they're practicing witchcraft, they're a witch, they're just like a Christian who's walking around with a dangling cross in their ear. You don't need to worry about them having too much power, because when people really operate in witchcraft, it's very covert. They're not going to be open. So the person who's open and saying about it, they're not even the person that you need to worry about. Okay. The person who's being open, girl, just sit them down over there. Don't worry too much about them. It's a very covert operation. That's what I'll say about that. Okay. Now we'll move on to the classroom. And I want to say before we move on to the classroom, if you're not in prayer, if that's not how you want to address this, I really can't help you as to how you navigate those spaces, because I'm not God. Okay. I'm not God. I'm just telling you what he told me. So the classroom, let's talk about this classroom. This is going to be information that will be very helpful for you if you are a parent, okay? Because I want you to know this is going on inside of your child's daycare and possibly even more, okay? Inside of your child's school, when you're not around your child, this is the stuff that's going on. The first thing is playground safety. I will paint for you a picture. Like I said, I have 15 children. This was my first day with these children, so I didn't even know the children by name. And in this particular place, they didn't even have a schedule to take the children outside. So the children actually could be inside all day long doing absolutely nothing but getting yelled at. Sit down, stop doing that, get down from there. And some children, they'll listen to that, but most children, they need to run around. So I love taking children outside. I mean, even my daughter, I just love going outside with her. It's just a natural, I like going outside. It's just our natural proclivity to want to be outside, just to be free, to be able to run and to be able to move. And I'm not saying that you don't need some structure, because you do, but the kids do need to go outside. So me knowing this, I bring the kids outside. Okay. I bring the kids outside, but I don't know any of the children's names. Okay. And I even don't know how many children is in my class. And because I know the protocol that the state requires for you, knowing who is in your care, they didn't give me the number. I had to create the number. So I didn't know, if there's like a kid if there was a kid in another classroom, maybe in the restroom. If you don't know who's in your class, it's very hard to know if there is somebody in the restroom, if there is somebody left behind. Training needs to be done for this, but a lot of the times they're not doing the training for this. So I take the kids outside. When I take the children outside, I notice that there are children who simply won't follow directions at all. I wasn't briefed on any of the behaviors that was in the class. I wasn't briefed on the fact that maybe there may be children who just have different needs that possibly don't even understand what it is that I'm saying. Maybe they're not talking yet or what have you. These are all questions that need to be addressed, and unfortunately they're not. So take the kids outside. I mean, there's one child who completely falls down and refuses to listen to me. He doesn't know me. I don't blame him. He doesn't know me. He's not like all the other kids. And the tactics that I'm using for the other children, my little choo-choo train, and we're doing a lot, it's not working for him. It's not working for him. Okay? It's not working for him. So he's falling out. Well, as he falls out and kicks off his shoes, I now have 15 other children who, if they're smart, they know that they can start running around too, and there's nothing that I can do about it. They can open the gate and they can run out to the street. They can do whatever they want to. You would like to think that you have more control, but if someone gets hurt in this environment, what am I to do? If someone has to use the bathroom, there was a bathroom that was outside at this particular place, but some of the kids, it was hard for them to open the door. This bathroom was not clean. It was not maintained. It was just an environment that wasn't safe as far as like their physical safety, but wasn't safe as far as like their health either. It really bothered me. But I want you to know that this was a very clean daycare from the outside, but once you got into the crevices, it was not put together. The children, I remember spending time in the classroom and there was no soap. I bought soap from home. Could you imagine thinking that your children you're paying $300 per week for your child to sit in the classroom and they don't even have soap to wash their hands? And nobody's making sure that they wash their hands. Now, I made sure because I noticed that a lot of children in the classroom were sick. I know that washing hands is paramount. Every time, before we do anything, that our hands are going to come near our mouth, or we're going outside, or you're going to the restroom, I'm making certain that you wash your hands. But when there's certain behaviors in the classroom, it makes it almost impossible to see to it that all of these children are safe in this manner. But you just drop your child off, you don't even care. Imagine that. So playground safety was a big issue. Someone gets hurt. I mean, they have a little first aid kit in the bag that we have to carry around with. But if someone gets legitimately hurt, there was no walkie-talkies at this particular location. So you couldn't phone anyone and say, hey, I got one kid that broke their arm out here. Can you help me out with the other 14? And they would just send other kids out and take other kids. And it was just a complete mess. Once you finally got the children to know you, once you finally got the behaviors under control and really learn what the child needed, they would take them away and exchange them for another student, another class, because the other teacher was having trouble. It's not a good environment for children. Let me move to the next thing. This is your duty as well as a parent, realizing that the environment isn't right for your child. If your child is autistic, and I'm not picking on anyone who has an autistic child, I have an autistic child. He's high functioning autistic. So I haven't had to deal with some of the extreme behaviors that usually follow autism. But I have seen otherwise. And sometimes you really just got to realize it's not the environment for your child. I'm going to give you this example. One of the little boys, the one that I just mentioned, was falling all over the place. He was having a hard time the whole day. No one ever told me that he was struggling. I just know because I've been around children who are autistic. When I had my in-home daycare, I had a child who was autistic. And because the environment was so small, it was good for him. I got a chance to give him hugs and give him what it is that he needed to feel safe around me, then to flourish. But if I'm honest with you, he was smarter than all the other kids. There are just certain areas with certain children that need a bit more attention. And you dropping your child off with 14 other kids, you got to realize that sometimes that's not the environment. Okay? But some people don't care. Anyway. This parent drops his kid off. I'm telling you, that first day with him, I had a hard time. The dad walks in, literally, the place closes at 6:30. The dad walks in at 6:20. So the kid has literally been there all day long. I smile at the dad. The dad comes in with a very stone cold, stark face. I smile at the dad, and the dad just kind of takes the kid and goes on about his business. And I thought to myself, oh no, tomorrow when I see him, he's going to have a conversation with me. He's going to let me know what's going on with his child. Like, what's going on? He's going to express to me what his desires are, what his expectations are, if he's going to have his child with me here all day. The next day, the man comes in, and I approach him and begin to talk to him and tell him about his son. He smiles. He's like, I don't know what, they just have my son all over the place. And you're okay with that? You're not going to say anything about it? You're going to pay your $300 a week and you're just going to let them have your child all over the place? You're going to let them not change your child's diaper, not clean your child's face? That little boy was extremely sick. When he sneezed, entire mounds of snot came out his nose. And he would literally just sit there and suck it up. He was one of those children. It was very hard to keep up with him and all the other classmates if you didn't know how to deal with it. You know what I did? I got down to his level. I was firm with him, but I was also very loving to him. I gave him lots of hugs because some children who are on the spectrum need that. During the nap time, I didn't pat all the other children to sleep, but I took some time and I patted him to sleep because I've been around the children. I know what it takes. I know that you have to quiet them down. Things like weighted blankets and things like making his area dark and making it silent, and even tell him, close your eyes, put your hand over your eyes to help to really turn his nervous system off so he can go to sleep. Like, quiet it down once they turn his nervous system off. We won't do that. Quiet his nervous system down so that he can relax. But I know these things because I've experienced these things because I know them. Nobody said that. But some of you, the parents are literally dropping their kids off environment. You don't even know if the teacher is qualified. You don't know what she know. And some of y'all don't even care. Imagine that. So the second day, like I said, I go up to dad. I approach the dad. I let him know, what's going on. I let him know, hey, I've been bringing your son to the bathroom. I made sure that he used the bathroom. He hasn't pottied on himself today. But before I went over there and approached him, he comes in and takes a picture of the boy falling asleep. The boy is asleep on the thing because he's had a long day. He takes a picture of him And he was about to leave without asking me any questions as to how his day went. The picture that he was about to paint for himself and probably send to his wife was going to suffice for the day that this child had. And that's what a lot of you parents are doing. You're taking snapshots of how the child's day really was. And at least the least you can do is, if you drop your child off with someone all day, see how their day was. That's your responsibility. See where the teacher needs help. That's your responsibility. But some of you are lazy. Another thing is allergies. If I'm really honest with you, I don't think that daycares are a space for child with allergies. There's 14 other kids in here. My first day in the class, I asked the question because I know better. But no one said, hey, this child has an allergy to this child has an allergy to this. And I've worked at places that children had severe allergies, like peanut allergies. Baby, there ain't nothing to play with. You got people bringing stuff from home, no labels on it. We don't know the ingredients to any of this stuff. They were giving out cupcakes. And one of the child's things said he was allergic to milk. I said, he can't have this. They're giving out pizza. One of the child's things said he's allergic to milk. He can't have this. So where is the provisions for him? And a lot of you dropping your kids off all day long and don't even know that the teachers have no knowledge of allergies and allergens. Imagine that. Have your child sitting right there next to homeboy with the peanut allergy while he eat a Snickers bar with peanuts. It's very dangerous. And as an employee, you could let these daycares put you in these dangerous situations if you want to. But when stuff starting to hit the fan, just know that legally it's going to hit the fan for you. They're going to cover their behind. They're going to leave you out there stranded. I'm telling you what I know. Okay. This is another thing, and that's crazy parents. Some of you are the crazy parents. Some of you are the crazy parents. Some of you are the lazy parents. I found so much. Just because you have money, that doesn't take away the fact that you're lazy. Just because you have money doesn't take away the fact that you need to still parent your children. And you know what the sad thing is? You'll see people who struggle with like infertility and things like that. You have begged for a child. You begged God for a child. He gave you a child, and you're going to dump your child off with someone else all day long while you shuck and jive at work and climb a chain, climb a ladder, a corporate ladder, or whatever else, a ladder of business, a ladder of success that God didn't call you to, while the thing that you begged him for sits here untended to. That's sad. I saw so many rich delusional parents that it literally blew my mind. And some of you are maybe you're not even rich. Maybe you're just delusional. You're just lazy. Some of you need to tone your lifestyle down so that you can afford to stay at home with these children that you beg for. I told you guys at the beginning of this video, I told you guys yesterday, being a mother is hard. Being a parent is hard. I'm a mother, so I can only speak about motherhood. It's hard. It's early, like I said. So I have my daughter's breakfast behind me. I'm waiting for her to wake up. I'm filming this video for you. Because the rest of my day, I can't be sitting around filming this video when I have somebody to attend to. But you asked for this. You begged for the children. You're actually still begging for more. Imagine a woman coming in here telling me that she just had twins and her son is the worst behaved in the class. And she's come get him last of the day. He's literally been here all day long. You tell me why you turned around and had more kids when you didn't want to be bothered with this one? I'm confused. It's confusing. And I'm not the only one that's confused. The kids are confused too. The kids are very much confused. This is another thing, and I would definitely say to look out for it. It's no curriculum. When the children don't have anything to do, I told you this, the children don't have nothing to do. The teacher's going to have a hard time and your child's going to have a hard time. You're paying $300 literally to sit there. My second day at work, I had to bring a whistle because I said stop so much. And you're talking about speaking over 15 children. Things can get very loud. I said, don't do that. Come over here. Get down from there so much that my voice began to go out. I had to bring a whistle. You paying $300 for somebody to sit around and tell your child stop. What's the point of you going to work? When you're not even having a hand in raising these children, all you do is tuck them into bed at night and give them a little McDonald's. It's completely bizarre. And the next thing is accidents. Like I said, the cleanliness, even it might appear clean to you, and you might just be trying to fool yourself just because you pay so much each week. But not having soap, and this is not the only environment, this is not the only daycare that I've been in to see this. The cleanest daycare that I've ever been in was my own. And I'm not just saying that, but I also was an in-home provider. So it was very small scale. The cleanest daycare that I ever had was mine. There was no soap. The children were not properly washing their hands. When they went to the bathroom was dirty. You know how kids are. Kids like to hold the side of the toilet while the next person has come here and poo and pee and do whatever else. Now me, when I was in that class, you know what I did? After every 3 people, I was going in there bleaching the toilet, because that's how I roll. I even do that in my own home. Everybody's not doing that. There's no changing table in there. So you're placing a child in here who's having bowel movement. What do you think your child's getting changed? On the floor? Or not at all? That's not right to have a child sitting in feces and pee all day long. It's not right. But most of these people do not care. When I was asking for, I'm like, is there wipes for, you have him in here and he's having bowel movements. Is there wipes? The people were looking at me like, wipes? Why she need wipes? Like, they were getting annoyed at me that I was asking so many questions. Well, if I'm going to wipe someone's bum, they need wipes. I'm confused. Parents come totally oblivious. Totally oblivious to what's going on. So accidents. I mean, one of the days, it was my first day in the classroom, and definitely the second day, but I'm going to go ahead and say the first day because everyone didn't potty on themselves first day. So I was never made aware of the children who have accidents. There was literally like 6 or 7 kids just pottied on themselves. By the third day, I was waking people up, say, hey, come on, let's get up, let's go potty. So I was having less accidents, but a lot of the teachers don't care. They'll just leave your kid in their own urine while they play outside. And some people have enough sense to, when you come pick them up, perhaps they'll change them real quick. But I'll say a lot of people don't, because they just simply, they don't have enough time. They're worn down. It's almost an impossible task. It's almost an impossible task. Very stressful. And very unsanitary, if you ask me. This is the next thing is no discipline guidelines. I would stay away from working at a place, and I would not drop my child off at a place that doesn't have any discipline guidelines. And what I mean by that is, if there is a problem in the classroom, you should be able to lose your spot. The child should be able to be kicked out. And once the child is no longer be able to be kicked out, there's going to arise real problems, because some children just simply don't do well in the environments, and you have this one tyrant just running around ruining everybody else's good time. And I mean that with all due respect. I'll give you this example. While I was at this daycare in particular, one of the children, he was younger than everyone else. So I understand having an accident, but he was like almost in diapers. Not almost, he was actually like, he had on like a diaper, like the pull-up that looks like a diaper. He didn't want to use the bathroom. He was like at the very beginning stages, like a kid that just turned 3, the very beginning stages of even following directions, not ready to use the bathroom. And he gave me a hard time. So I finally got the class on the wraps to where we're doing these little activities. We're learning letters. I want to see where everybody is in the classroom, because my goal is to stay there and grow with the children, right? I want to see where everyone is, see what's going on. This one right here said he don't want to listen. He running around the classroom. He's acting out. He's telling me no. Anytime we're serving lunch, the lunch is sit down. Everyone's waiting their turn. Everyone's following directions, which is make sure that your hands washed, make sure you have your napkin, and sit and wait for Miss Tansy to pass out your plate. Everybody else is doing it. Him, no. I want this, and he's acting like that. I have a conversation with the mom. The mom says, well, he don't like going to use the bathroom. I told her he was kicking. He don't like using the bathroom. He just doesn't like it. And, you just going to have to basically deal with it, is what she told me. What she doesn't know is that I know that she told the center that if they put him back in the classroom that the babies are in, she's going to remove him from the daycare. She needed to go ahead and remove him from daycare, because the class that he was in, he was causing all the other children to not be able to do well in their environment because of one parent's request that was unreasonable. Because the parent said, we pay for speech therapy, And I don't want him with the babies who are not talking, because that means I'm going to waste my money with speech therapy. So she wanted him in an advanced environment, thinking that it would advance him, and it wasn't. That kind of parent needs to be terminated. And if you're not in a situation where you're willing to terminate, where you're willing to let money go, great problems are going to arise with teachers and otherwise. And that, it was no secret. The same thing was happening there. When I had my own daycare, I don't care about your money like that. I'm doing this because this is what the Lord has put me off to do, has sent me off to do. Your money isn't that important. And because your money isn't that important, there's standards. A lot of the daycares, your money is the standard. And there are no real standards. And standards of discipline is a standard. Like, some of these parents need to be checked. Some of these kids need to be checked. And the kids won't be checked because you won't check the parents. So they just run around, just do whatever they want to do. They think they just pay a little fee and you do whatever they say, taking in no consideration for the other 14 kids in the class. Imagine that. Imagine how disgusting. This is another thing I have, and that's taking pictures. Girl, them pictures don't mean nothing. I've worked at places that literally said, most of the places now are saying, you need to take at least 2 pictures a day. You know what I thought to myself? You need to get out of my face. I'm not going to sit here and lie to these parents and say their kids are doing something that they're not doing. What do you want me to do? Take a picture of them running around the room? I'm not taking any pictures. I'm not about to sit here and lie to nobody. And I used to work at a center. I worked at a center for the summertime where I actually participated in the foolishness, taking pictures. I didn't stay there very long. I think I stayed there like a week because they were lying to the parents. And that daycare cost even more than the daycare that I'm speaking of now. Just lying, taking pictures. Girl, when you see them pictures, know those pictures are absolutely nothing. They mean nothing. Know when you see those pictures, that's probably the only thing that your child has done for the day. Okay? All right. The next thing that I don't like, and that you definitely should look out for, is mixing up ages. I know it's cost effective to mix up the ages, especially like at the beginning of the day and end of the day, but it doesn't work out well. When there's a teacher missing, what they'll do is they'll start combining classrooms. It doesn't work out well. A 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old do not need to be in the same class. Not in a large environment like that. Now, if you're talking about a smaller environment, like at my daycare, I believe most of the kids were 4 going on 5. And I think I had one child who was 3, and he was very far behind the other kids, but it was okay because it was only like 7 of us there. So it was a very close-knit environment. I could literally watch the children and closely, and it was good for children in that environment. But when you have 15 kids, or let's say the classes are closely populated, like they're close together, and you have a total of 30 kids, when you start mixing kids like that, honey, it's a mess. At the end of the day, in this daycare, they have a little baby who isn't even 12 months old, and a 9-year-old, and 4-year-olds. What do you think they're doing? They're in there running around, running amok. Mixing ages does not work. I will highly suggest. I think the best thing is to keep the teachers in the classroom until their children leave. That's just best. That way, when a parent comes and picks up their child, I have communication with the person who has been with my child all day, but that is not what the daycares do. And I will say that all of the daycares I see doing this, and I don't think it's a good practice. I know payroll costs, and it costs to keep people there all day, but perhaps the better thing to do is to change the hours. And I know changing the hours where people work these crazy hours, well, that goes back to one of the things I said earlier today. It's time to change up our lifestyles to be with these children that we asked for. I know it doesn't sound good to you, but you asked for the children. You asked for them. Some of you even begged. Some of you paid. Some of you guys did in vitro and otherwise. And you paid in the thousands for children that you don't even want to be bothered with. You thought they would keep a man. You thought them kids were going to help you keep that man, and he didn't. And now you're mad. And now you don't want nothing to do with him. Imagine that. I said it. The last thing on here I already talked to you about, and that was the parent. Those of you who, you struggled You begged for the kids and now you don't want anything to do with them. Sometimes I'm going to mention this and I'm going to go, babysitting, like nanny situations are better. But even with that, I'm getting into my own endeavor of things. I won't go in all into my business here as if you haven't had enough of it, right? Sometimes nanny situations are best, but a nanny is just a helper. I see some of these people asking for, things, requiring things of a nanny, and you got like 3 dogs. Well, you got 3 dogs and 3 kids. You won't be bothered with none of it. Yet you ask for all these things. So you got 3 kids that you don't want to be bothered with, that you're being lazy with, and you have the audacity to get 3 dogs. What's the problem here? What is the problem here? So you want me to care for kids and dogs? Pick a struggle. Pick a struggle. Choose. You don't want to do nothing. You want me to come in here, walk dogs, wake up kids, teach kids, cook, clean your house. You don't want to do anything. You just want to have the title of wife and mother. Oh, how disgusting. Oh, how disgusting. But I'm telling you, if you haven't watched any of my other videos, this year is going to be a year of shaking up all of those foolish systems and just foolish mindsets that you have. And I've been telling you for a long time, because the Lord has been telling me for a long time, get your house in order. You're going to be forced to get your house in order. You're going to be forced. Some of you, it's going to be very painful for you because you refuse to listen. You refuse to change. As always, if you have a question, ask a question, and I'll see you in the next video.